Have you ever wondered why very small things can affect you so deeply? A simple comment from someone can make you think about it all evening. A movie can bring you to tears, while the people around you just laugh and forget it right away. And sometimes, just walking into a room filled with tension, you can immediately feel the heavy atmosphere, even though no one says a word. If you have experienced this, you have probably asked yourself many times whether you are simply too sensitive. Many people grow up feeling that their emotions are a problem that needs to be fixed. They hear familiar phrases like, "You think too much," "You are too sensitive," or "You need to be stronger." So they begin to learn how to suppress their feelings. They try to appear calm while everything inside feels chaotic. They smile when they actually want silence. And over time, they start believing that something is wrong with them. But there is an interesting truth that very few people tell you. You may not be weak at all. Your brain may simply be processing the world in a deeper way. Highly sensitive people often have nervous systems that receive information more intensely. That means they do not just see what is happening. They also sense the emotional layers hidden beneath it. A tired glance, a forced tone of voice, an unusual silence in a conversation. The details that most people overlook appear very clearly in their minds. The irony is that society often sees sensitivity as a weakness. But if you look more closely, you will realize that people who feel deeply are often the ones who understand others the best. They can read emotions, notice someone else's sadness, and connect with the world in a very genuine way. And in this video, we will explore 8 of the most common psychological traits of highly sensitive people. You may even be surprised to realize that what you always thought was a weakness is actually a very rare form of strength. If you have ever felt different, stay until the end of the video. For the first time, you might understand why you always feel things more strongly than others. There is a rather strange truth about highly sensitive people. For most of their lives, they often feel that something is wrong with them. They feel too much, think too deeply, and react more strongly than the people around them. But what very few people ever tell them is this. The problem may not be that they are too weak. It may simply be that they experience the world with a depth that most people never reach. And when you understand the psychological traits of highly sensitive people, you begin to realize that many of the things that once made you feel out of place are actually signs of a very unique kind of mind. The first trait is a strong ability to sense the emotions of others. Highly sensitive people can walk into a room and immediately feel the atmosphere. No one needs to say anything. Just the way people look at each other, the way they stay silent, or the way someone sighs is enough for them to sense that something is going on. Even very small details can reveal a lot to them. This is what makes them people with extremely high empathy. When someone else feels sad, they almost feel that sadness within themselves. This can sometimes be exhausting, but it also makes them wonderful friends. The second trait is that they can easily become overwhelmed by their environment. A cafe that is too noisy, a crowded shopping mall, or a long, intense conversation can leave them feeling drained. Not because they are weaker than others, but because their nervous system processes stimulation more intensely. In simple terms, they absorb more information at the same time. That is why, after long days of social interaction, they often need time alone to recover their energy. The third trait is the tendency to think very deeply about things. You may have experienced this yourself. A small conversation happens in the afternoon, but by evening you are still thinking about it. You wonder whether you said something wrong. You replay every sentence and every expression. This can sometimes trap sensitive people in cycles of overthinking. But from another perspective, it also allows them to understand people and relationships at a very deep level. The fourth trait is that they are very sensitive to words. A small criticism can stay in their mind much longer than it would for others. Not because they want to dwell on it, but because their brain processes emotional information very strongly. Yet, this is also what makes them extremely careful with their own words. They understand that words can hurt people because they have felt that pain very clearly themselves. The fifth trait is that they have a rich inner world. Highly sensitive people often have strong imaginations and deep inner lives. They are easily moved by music, art, books, and emotional stories. A single piece of music can stay with them for the entire evening. A book can change the way they see life. Because of this, many sensitive people become wonderful creators. They turn their emotions into art, ideas, and expressions that touch the hearts of others. The sixth trait is that they need time alone. This is often misunderstood. Many people think sensitive individuals do not like social interaction. But the truth is that they simply need quiet moments to process their emotions. When they are alone, they can reflect, organize their feelings, and regain balance. It is like the way their brain recharges its energy. The seventh trait is that they are often misunderstood. In a world that values toughness and rational thinking, people who feel deeply are often seen as weak. But the truth is that they simply experience life on a deeper level. They feel more, think more, and care more. This sometimes makes them feel out of place, as if they do not fully belong in the world around them. And the final trait may be the most important of all. Highly sensitive people often possess a rare kind of strength. It is the ability to connect with others at a very deep level. They can understand another person's pain, recognize when someone needs to be heard, and provide emotional safety. In a world where many people are busy and distant, those who have this level of empathy are incredibly valuable. If you recognize yourself in these traits, you may have spent your whole life believing that you are simply too sensitive, but perhaps the truth is that you are just experiencing the world in a different way. And sometimes the people who feel the most are the ones who understand life the most deeply. If you have watched this far and feel that this message speaks to you, try doing something simple. Leave a comment saying, "I am a sensitive person." Because when you realize that many others are just like you, that feeling of loneliness begins to disappear. And in the next part of the video, we will talk about something many sensitive people need to hear. Sensitivity is not a curse. If you learn how to use it properly, it can become one of your greatest strengths. There is something very interesting that most sensitive people never hear when they are young. The world often says that to be strong, you need to have fewer emotions. Do not think too much. Do not care too deeply. Do not let small things affect you. But if you look a little closer, you will notice a paradox. The people who are considered the strongest are sometimes the ones who have learned to turn off their emotions. And the price they pay is that they slowly lose the ability to feel some of the most beautiful parts of life. Sensitivity is not a flaw in your personality. It is simply the way your brain is built. You feel more deeply, think more carefully, and notice emotional details that other people often overlook. Sometimes this makes you feel tired, and it may even make you feel out of place among the people around you. But it is also what allows you to understand others, sense someone else's sadness, and connect with the world in a very genuine way. In reality, the problem is not that you are too sensitive. The problem is that very few people understand how to protect and use that sensitivity in the right way. When you learn how to set boundaries, choose the right environment, and take care of your emotional energy, sensitivity will no longer feel like a burden. It will become a rare advantage. Because in a world that is becoming more and more emotionally numb, the people who can still feel deeply are the ones who preserve the most human part of humanity. So if you are a highly sensitive person, remember this: you are not weak. You simply live with a more open heart than many others. And sometimes it is those open hearts that make this world a kinder place. If you have watched until this point and feel that this message speaks to you, subscribe to the channel now and leave a comment saying, "I am a sensitive person." Because in the next video, we will explore something even more interesting: why sensitive people often notice things that most people never realize.